I wish these videos were a little more enthusiastic, but truthfully, again, my videos that I'm posting on here, I want to be as transparent as possible. Now, let me start off by saying this. Living in a red state in 2025, the modern age, I will say living in a red state will always be living in living in a red state will always be living in a blue state. I've lived in blue states. I've lived in red states. I grew up in red states. I was raised and born and raised in red states. They're just 10 times better than blue states in terms of restrictions. So that way people aren't breaking laws every single time, you know? But blue states are very rich. And I know that for a fact because Colorado was very much a liberal state, but it was freaking beautiful as hell. Very modern, very aesthetically pleasing, very rich. Same thing with New York, except obviously some parts of New York are really disgusting, but, you know, beggars can't be choosers in that part. So I moved out of my parents' house. We moved to, let's just say this, after moving all over the place, and growing up Republican, conservative, always staying conservative, still am. I'm a smart person though. And then now moving out, 25 years old, into Indiana again, which I freaking could not be happier, man. It's where I grew up. It's where I graduated high school. Wouldn't trade it for the world. It's fucking awesome here. Okay. It's hard living here, or living in a red state in 2025. You know, things are expensive in blue states too. But now that certain things are happening in 2025, it's becoming a lot harder. Tariffs play a big role into it. Certain prices, price gouging. I mean, there's everything. Corruption. It's you do notice it, but let me tell you, you know, forget that I have a nice car. Forget that I own what I own. I mean, the only thing I really own that's nice is my car. And I'm very proud of it. But forget I own that. I make comfortably, well, I wouldn't say comfortably, but I make a fixed income of about $55,000 a year. Fixed. That's with the one job. Then I do have side hustles that I wouldn't necessarily say bring in a crap ton of money, but they bring in a few hundred here and there every month, if I'm lucky. Sometimes, like good months, I'll make an extra 1,000 or two, but that's very rare. But it's hard. You know, I think reality is like, no matter outside conflict or whatever, and if you're making $100,000 or more, you're pretty much fine. You know, yeah, there's some bigger things that you're probably purchasing, so you have to worry about them. But truthfully, if you're poor, like myself, you have to worry. You know, if you think about it, $55,000 a year is not much, okay? It seems like it is, but I promise you it's not. You know, when you factor in each month, you're making probably what, like $4,000 a month, if that. It doesn't go very far. You include rent, well, that's a big one. Then you include groceries and eating and everything. It adds up. So, you know, a couple of things of living in a red state of 2025 is gas is not cheap here. It's actually a lot cheaper in Democratic states. You know, you could ask me why. I'm not into politics. I just know that from what I'm seeing, from moving from blue to red, it's yeah, wow, it's expensive. I know my car takes premium. I'm tuned on 93, but I wanted to have a fun car, and you know, on gas per week, I'm probably spending a good $40. You multiply that times 4, and now you got $160 worth of gas that you're going through, and then sometimes you got to fill up twice a week. So it's expensive. And on top of that, it's whatever other expenses you come into play. Like, for instance, I got a valve cover I got to replace, and that's $500 even. It was like $600 even, but adds up. And then you got food. Food's very important. Health is very important. I guess long story short, what I'm trying to say is that if you are making under, let's just give or take $80,000 a year, in a red state in 2025, it is incredibly hard to live. It's manageable, but it puts a little bit of stress on you. You're like, oh, geez, like, what do I do next? I just had a hour and a half phone call with my parents because, they're the reason why I believe in the stuff that I believe in, because they grew up conservative, very conservative. And, I think they still are, but they're smart enough to realize, some people aren't fit for certain positions in this world, and I'm glad they understand that. But I'm also like, things are hard, and they're literally realizing it on the news. Like, shit is not easy over here. But again, I wouldn't trade it for the world, because it's like, I think the best part about living in red states is there's no restrictions on most things. People are very lenient. And when you don't have restrictions and when you have leniency, people can just do whatever they want and just learn from it if it goes wrong. Like, I'm sorry to say this, but I can't remember the last time, a red state really had a massive tragedy, except for Texas. But it's a rarity compared to blue states, because when you have, I seriously 100% believe this, is that when you have too many restrictions, that's when things go south. When you're a little more lenient and people understand that, then they're kind of like, screw it, like I can screw with that. But I think also another thing people have to realize is that creating side hustles in 2025 isn't as easy as you might think. Like, I went through the whole detailing phase. Now that's oversaturated. I went through the buying and selling of shoes. That's oversaturated. Matter of fact, I don't even think shoes is really a top contender anymore, unless you're into real, like, expensive sneakers that are costing a couple of grand a piece, and you're going to all these sneaker cons, and you're well known, and then you're taking chances. But then clothes is even worse. It's like, it's just all about fashion, like what's in right now, what's not. It all takes up space too. It's like a bunch of different factors. Now, when I was on the phone with my parents, I was like, the only thing that I could really do is like videography, because videography at that point, it's like, I had the experience for it. Most people don't want to spend that kind of money on a camera because they're not going to use it for an everyday thing. Not everyone just makes YouTube videos for a living. I don't, but I hope to one day. But it's like, not everyone just makes YouTube videos or just films for a living or just films on side hustles. Most of them, it's like they're, maybe if they have a hobby. I mean, shoot, things that are a really expensive hobby, people don't really do. Golf is not included because like golf is expensive, but it's golf. I mean, it's a leisure sport. So, yeah, I guess take this into consideration that if you're poor, living in a red state, this is the POV. Now, I know you might be saying like you should show the prices of things. Well, I could do that in a different video, but yeah, gas is freaking expensive. Food is expensive. I mean, thank God I don't drink milk, because milk, I'm lactose intolerant, so I don't have to worry about that, or cheese. But yeah, you're talking $6 and up for everything. It's bad. So yeah, that's what it's like living in a red state 2025 and being poor and making under $60K with a fixed income like that.